Hey everybody, it's Chris Eads, Wootini from GayGamer.net, here with another weekly video podcast. This week, I actually have not played any Thief at all on my Xbox One. Because, as I mentioned last week, I hit a section where it got, like, crazy hard, and I tried it a few times and kept getting killed, and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be rough. And so I did that thing, which I'm sure a lot of you might do, when you're playing a game and you hit a part that's really difficult, and you try it a couple of times and it doesn't quite work, so you put it aside and you say, I'll come back to it, and you go do other things, whether that's playing other games or just watching movies and TV or reading a book or doing hobbies, whatever, but you don't actually go back to it because you know that if you pick that game to play, it's going to be obnoxious, so you pick something else. So, like, you know, I'll be like, you know what, I feel like playing Rock Band instead. Thanks! So yeah, I haven't played that. But I did start a new game this past week, which I was very excited to learn that in January they were giving away Grim Fandango Remastered for free on PlayStation Plus. So, because I'd been wanting to play that. I never did play it back in the day when it first came out, and it got, like, you know, all these great reviews, and I'm like, oh, I would like to play that, I think. And I never got around to it, but then they did the remastered version, and I was tempted, especially because I can play it on my Vita, which is pretty awesome, you know, because portable is better for me. But then I just never wanted to spend the money. And then it was, like, on sale, and I think it went down as low as $10 or $15, and I was like, $10? Ooh, that's maybe okay. But I never did break down and pick it up. And then now it's free, and I'm like, well, hell, it's free, I might as well, you know, and then if I don't like it, I just delete it, who cares. But I do like it. Unfortunately, while before I was able to play, for the past years, I've been all over portable games, because I have more time to play portable games than I do my consoles, because I had a really long commute. Unfortunately, I was laid off from that job a month ago, and luckily, they laid me off from one job, but they transferred me over to another job in the same umbrella company. But now my commute, it's a different building, so my commute is only like a half an hour each way, and I can't even get a seat, so I'm not able to really, you know, play my portable games as much. So now I'm one of those weirdos who will sit on their couch and play a portable game instead of their console, which I never used to do, because if I was home I would play my consoles, but now I don't have time to play my portables on the train, so I have to play my portables at home. But luckily this past weekend, we had my family had their Christmas in January, because it's cheaper for my parents to fly up from Florida in January than it is at Christmas itself. So we had our family Christmas in January, so I had a nice long bus ride, and I feel like I really got into it, because when I first downloaded it, I just tried it a little bit, and I was like, okay. And everyone's right, it is delightful. I can already tell that this is going to be one of those games where I go through every dialogue option, not because that's also good for gameplay, because so far, going through every dialogue option hasn't really uncovered new dialogue options that were important to advancing the game, but I'm doing every dialogue option just because the dialogue is so funny, and it's very cute and clever, and I want to hear everything because it's funny. I have run into a little bit of a snag, though, because this Grim Fandango is, you know, old-school adventure game, where you walk around, examine everything, pick up everything that's not nailed down, keep it in your inventory so that later on, when you run into that weird puzzle, you can use the cabbage on the, you know, whatever, and you know, just those kinds of weird things. But it's it's hard for me because it's been a long time since I've played one of those kinds of adventure games. Like, the only adventure games I've been playing lately are the Telltale Games, which are technically adventure games, but they're not the point-and-click kind of adventure games. They're more just choose-your-own-adventure stories that unfold at a pace, and there's not really a whole lot of inventory management and stuff. I mean, some of the games, like Walking Dead, you would collect, like, weapon things or items, but a lot of times you're collecting items that you end up not actually having to use. Minecraft, you actually had to collect stuff, and then you would use them to craft weapons, but, you know, it's not like you're crafting, it's not like you're combining items to make something that you can then use on another item in the environment in order to advance the story. Which I do appreciate about the Telltale Games, because it keeps the story momentum going, because you're not stopping and being frustrated for like a half an hour and then having to go look up the solution online because you can't figure out what you're supposed to do next. The Telltale Games just keep moving, and you just keep up. But Grim Fandango is old school style, and you have to walk around, and you talk to everybody, you examine everything, you pick up everything not nailed down, and it's like I'm having to adjust back into that mentality. It's a little tricky, though, because it's not a mouse point-and-click game where you would, like, you know, hover the pointer over the whole screen until it turns into a hand or a magnifying glass or something, and then you know you could do something with that. Here, I have to slow down and watch, because Mannys Head will look at something in the environment that is, you know, examinable or touchable or usable. So I have to be more careful about looking at his brief head movements, because you can't tell otherwise. Because twice already I've had to go online and look up what I'm supposed to do next. The first time, it was my own stupidity, because I had thought I had interacted with an item, but in fact I hadn't. I'd only examined it. And because if I had interacted with it, I would have seen what I needed to do with it, and it would have been fine. I could have figured that one out myself, and I felt really stupid for that one, and that was my own fault. But the second time I had to look up what to do, it's because I figured out this silly puzzle to this silly solution to the puzzle, did it, but then the story didn't advance, and I had to do it again, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it again until I go look up exactly what I need to do, because I must have done something wrong. And what it was there's a deadbolt on a door that you had to switch. And I didn't realize that, because when I examined the door from both sides, it didn't say anything. You have to examine it from the side of the door, not the front or the back of the door. You had to examine the side of the door in order to see the deadbolt and interact with it. And because I didn't see that, I didn't know to do that, and I wasted a whole bunch of gameplay time. So I've got to be more meticulous about examining everything and every angle and every side, and it'll get tedious, but that's what an adventure game is sometimes, so whatever. But I am enjoying it, and it is a lot of fun, and I like having something to play on my Vita, because, I like to give all my systems a little bit of love here and there. And I know this has gone on a bit long, but I did want to share one of the Christmas gifts that we got at my family Christmas. We got a Simon Swipe, which is crazy, and I'm going to demonstrate it for you now. It's not just regular Simon, you have to actually swipe. It's a bit loud. You do that. See? See? And you have to swipe, and that's where it gets tricky. Oh. See, and then I missed the swipe because I'm trying to do it at an angle, so, oops. But it's surprisingly fun for a dopey little game, little update of the classic Simon game that I had when I was a kid. But it's fun, like, to see, like, how much fun these old games still are. So that's it for this week, and come back next week, and we'll see what I might be playing then. Have a good one. Bye.